Today, I think the dirtiest smear of the election. 3 sources told CNN that in a private meeting between Warren and Sanders in late 2018, Sanders told Warren that a woman couldn't win a presidential election. The source's source for that is Elizabeth Warren herself.
And she is saying that now. She is saying, apparently they're confirming.
I thought they were denying it.
No. The Sanders campaign has denied it. The Warren campaign has said nothing.
Yeah, they've had no comment to all this stuff.
Yes. This is because I'm sorry. There's a 0% chance this happened. I'm just gonna say it.
Yep, 0%.
0% chance. As
Bernie wanted Warren to run for president in 2016,
and she was too much of a fucking coward to do it. And then she waited in the cut and then endorsed Hillary and then ran against Bernie 4 years later. The idea that she's anybody's ally in this is fucking ridiculous. She is there to absorb up all of the fucking, I hate to use the word everyone hates, a PMC fucking left liberal energy and use it and take it away from Bernie so that he doesn't have the connection you need to fucking win a goddamn primary.
She also has to look at, what the polls are in Iowa and think, I haven't led in a single fucking poll since summer of last year, but I'm still in the race. Yeah. I'm still pretty close. And as you and I have been talking about, a lot of people have not made up their minds, and Iowa produces some weird results. So she has every reason to think, okay, I'm still in this one. I still want the brass ring, and I'll do what it takes.
But she needs those votes from Bernie. She realized she's not getting them to the right of her.
If that Q poll is right, and if that correlates to what Iowa caucus goers are also thinking, then maybe they've recalculated and thought, well, the path of least resistance might actually be to kneecap Bernie.
Yeah, because if everyone all of a sudden simultaneously gets BernieBro flashbacks from 2016 and decides, oh, Bernie is too divisive and his supporters are too aggressive, and look at that, is that misogyny I see? Yeah, there's some misogyny. And then they're gonna flee to fucking Warren and give her just that last minute toadstool boost to get across the finish line ahead of Biden and Mayo Pete.
I love that BernieBro flashbacks, just choppers, machine gun fire, snatches of Vietnamese.
Creedence Clearwater playing in the background. The standards, as far as like journalistically go, the standards for sourcing that article it was like, fucking Ralph Wiggum shit. Like
it's funny, of all the genres of bullshit story from this cycle, the stories of Obama people don't like Bernie, or just like any other like general insiders warn Bernie would cost them the election. Those are the ones that often have all anonymous sources. Nobody's on the record for those things.
And then within like an hour of the story coming out, people were finding a fucking a Bernie speech from 1988. Where he was being a campaign surrogate for Jesse Jackson, saying that he believes a woman could be elected president in 1988.
Here's another interesting thing to this story. So, Bernie is the villain here for allegedly telling Elizabeth Warren to her face in a private meeting that he doesn't think that a woman can be president. And I'm sure, Matt, the people who believe this shit would react to you by saying, well, of course you would say that in public in 1988 and then reverse it 20 years later.
That's why she spent 2 years after that talking about how great Bernie was.
So, yeah. The interesting thing is, like, the people for which this attack has the most resonance and valence, of which is like, I always knew it. I knew it all along. This is Bernie's a misogynist, have spent the last 3 years opining about the fact that America is just too sexist to elect a woman president.
That's why we defeated our precious Hillary. Yeah.
So they believe that that's true, but that Sanders is a villain for allegedly stating that the same thing that they believe.
There's no see. Here's the thing: if you try to like map a coherent political ideology and praxis among these liberals, you can't do it, because it is such a combination of I hate to use the word, but like virtue signaling and like there's no coherence to it, because it's purely spectacle driven. It's purely ornamental. They don't actually care if anything changes. They're not invested. What they care about is cultivating some sort of a niche within the discourse. They have no actual investment in changing anything, so they don't have to think through any of this shit about what actually is going to fucking get someone elected who is not a senile game show host, quasi-fascist psychopath.
What's interesting, as multiple people have pointed out, is Biden himself has been explicitly saying, hey, I can win because I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
Explicitly, why I would beat Trump and Hillary
I'm
didn't.
a guy.
I'm a guy.
I got dick.
So like what you have
Dudes
here
rock.
is it's two news stories in a row. Like I said, again, we all saw this coming. There was a week, as Matt pointed out, a week of stories from like the mainstream press going, hey, Bernie's the real deal. He could win this whole thing. Next week, 2 stories in a row.
That's putting up the bat signal.
Of spurious bullshit, attacking him on and making it seem like him and his supporters are mean to Elizabeth Warren, i.e., every woman who's going to cast a vote. Right? Both of those stories seem to be like mostly bullshit entirely. Right?
Yeah.
But like, what's so why they're so why this is effective? This is the classic Lyndon Johnson thing: make the son of a bitch deny it. And Bernie's in a tough position here. I mean, because like they're coming at you. So what do you do?
The wonks are coming at you.
Like the wonks?
No,
I'm sorry, not just the wonks. Elizabeth Warren is coming at him. And it was her people who fucking did the CNN story. That did not just happen.
Yes.
Like, this is her campaign.
She's the ultimate source of the story.
Yeah. Like, she's coming at you on this. So, like, do you deny it outright? I mean, I would like to see the debate tomorrow night.
That's the thing.
One of the first questions...
He did deny it.
He denied it. His campaign denied it to every media outlet. And Elizabeth Warren's campaign has no commented everyone who talked about this. So at the debate tomorrow night, I think a very good question to ask Elizabeth Warren right off the bat. First question is, did this happen?
Yes. And she's going to get that question. And
she better get that fucking question.
Well, here's the thing. What if she says yes, it did?
Well, if she says yes, well, then Bernie's in a position of having to deny it or having to say basically that she's a liar.
Well, there you go. But what I'm saying is if she makes that choice, if she says it happened.
Well, that's
and Bernie has to say no, it didn't.
And I think she's already proven that she's willing to say that it did happen. And here's the thing: what do you do if you're Bernie in this situation? It's time for some game theory, folks. Because like, honestly, I think the best thing you could do about this is try to ignore it as much as possible.
Right, but I'm saying is you're literally going to have it in your face tomorrow night.
It's going to be impossible. They're going to have to try to like play it off. I think he's got to like do what he does, which is like answer it briefly and then refocus and talk about global warming.
What's the answer? What is the answer? Is it yes or no?
I just say I didn't do it. Like it never happened.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. All like, either you can deny it or you can. What is he going to do? Admit it? To say like, well,
something that's also striking is the tone of the coverage of it. Because even if you think, okay, this is a big newsworthy thing, the way that the news sources have characterized these two little controversies has been undeniably biased against Bernie Sanders.
Of course.
I mean, like, because the thing is, like, I think it'll come down to, like, is the specificity of it. And, like, Bernie's response, if he says, no, this is like, well, if I believe that, then why did I try to get you to run for president in 2016?
That would be a very good post because that's a well-documented fact that his first, because he wanted someone to oppose Hillary's neoliberalism. And he was like, I'm an old white dude. That's probably not a good idea. And he went to Warren and said, run against her. And she, because her heart is that of a coward, said no. And then she waited to run against him now without Hillary there as the big bad dog.
The chill dog.
2 words.
Chill dog.
2 words. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Well, the thing that I try to remind myself to say is Zen. And I've said on the show before, when we see this awful biased media, first it was ignoring and now it's attacking, is that if the Bernie theory of change is true, that the people who are going to make him the nominee are not caring about any of this. And
that's the
it's
thing.
going to be invisible in polls, and it's not going to show up until it's election day.
I've seen
and that is terrifying to leave it to that, but his whole theory of change is energizing. See, all that money they've been spending, barely any of it relatively has been on ads. It's been on creating a paid network of people to go door to door, to create networks, to bring people into the process who have been alienated from politics. And those people are not giving a shit about what any of these fucking people are saying.
Let me remind you of this. At the Iowa caucus, they have same-day registration. If you are registered for another political party, you can just show up. I don't know offhand if you can just walk in and say, I'm not registered to vote at all, and do it there. But I do know that if you're registered independent, you can show up. The likely voter screens I've seen anticipate about 1 in 3 caucus goers will be first timers. And Bernie
that's good.
That's
Bernie
very good.
overwhelmingly wins that cohort.
Those people are not paying attention to this bullshit that's driving us all
Bernie's
insane.
campaign is in their huge canvassing strategy. They're going for people outside the process, and it's really rolling the dice because obviously it seems like your ROI is going to be lower for people who have not caucused before, right? Because you have to, as a practical matter, you have to convince them of two things. Somebody who goes to every single caucus, you just have to convince them of one thing.
Who to vote for?
Vote for my candidate. Someone who is just totally outside the process, convince them to do two things. Right. One, go to the caucus. Two, vote for my guy.
Minimize asks.
But that is the path that the Bernie Sanders campaign has taken, and it is a strategy that emanates from Bernie's broader concept of political change, which is the only way we're going to beat Trump is to bring millions more people into the political process.
I mean, just like the one last thing I want to say about like the Warren Sanders beef is that like it's infuriating, particularly because I've had to see over and over again from Warren people the implication that like any argument or contrast being drawn between her and Bernie Sanders is like I said before,
it's violence.
Is essentially violence or dirty pool, or this is like the bad kind of the big line this week is even attacking Joe Biden on the Iraq war vote is factionalism. That's factionalism, and that's what's going to destroy it. I mean, this goes back to my when I got in trouble for telling them to bend the fucking knee. It's the same thing. It's just like the onus is always on our side to capitulate, and if you act like you're winning or that like no, like you in fact like you're the ones. How dare you? Like that's unfair or cheating.
How dare you win?
And exactly. How dare you win?
How dare you want a thing?
Yeah, how dare you want to win, or how dare Bernie Sanders run this race like he wants to be president?
Which, by the way, that is where the response I have ever gotten from when I've deployed the Matty B stats troll about you have to vote for Bernie because his people will take their ball and go home. That's not fair.
I actually saw someone in the wild when presented with the Matty B Stats troll said, "Shit, I mean, they did cost Hillary the election last time around. Maybe I do have to vote
let me finish on this. Like it's infuriating to me because particularly from Warren people, as this shit has gotten further on, and they're realizing that they have not overtaken Bernie, and that it's like Bernie holds the left lane, and among her left-ish supporters, I just see so much of their fucking their mealy-mouthed bullshit about how mean Bernie supporters are, or their aggression, or the fact that like they you care about Sanders or are willing to argue a case for him against their candidate is unfair at best, or mean to them personally, and millions of other, like, of course, all the oppressed peoples that they claim to speak for is even meaner to them.
Quickly Googles who is having oppression in 2020.
So, I mean, I see this shit from them all the time, and like what's infuriating about this is that they've now gone to, as you said, Virgil, what is absolutely one of the dirtiest fucking things.
Probably the dirtiest so far.
Like this is an actual political attack. This is not like drawing contrasts between candidates based on their entire lifetime of public service or record in government.
Yeah.
Like this is just like I heard someone say something who said something that you said something in a private meeting, something very nasty.
Yeah.
It's 100% bullshit, and either we're just gonna have to like hit back or just swallow it. I don't know what the best thing to do is, but I want to be clear that I'm not 100% convinced that this will work or will matter a great deal.
Well, what's striking to me is I think Warren realized a few months ago with their hedging on Medicare for All that, oh shit, I've lost that lane. I've lost the left.
She unquestionably dove after her capitulation on Medicare for All, and the difference came from her supporters that were more left or progressive.
Well, she lost that.
Went to Bernie.
She lost that lane.
Over that issue specifically.
She lost a lane. She shedded some of her support. I mean, but a big part of that was because she was kind of the stalking horse for Medicare for All stuff. Because remember, the media was ignoring Bernie. So Elizabeth Warren, who's promising big structural change, Medicare for All and all that shit, she became the one that the media went after as having like big and practical promises. And I do think that did some damage to her. And I do think that damaged her credibility among a certain subset of voters who, probably went to Biden or Pete Buttigieg after that. So that she's here right now pulling this shit, I mean, it's like what we've been saying for a long time, which is if you actually do care about the disgusting moral crisis in this country of people dying because they can't afford medication, because they get screwed by their health insurance company, or the fact that people might have so much medical debt that they know they will never ever retire and they're scared that they will be a burden on their families. If you actually care about that, you must support Bernie Sanders, and most people do. But there is still a rump group of people that support Elizabeth Warren because supporting Bernie is going to get them dirty looks at the Swarthmore alumni mixer.
Yep.
And she has realized, I would say correctly, thinking like about her strategic options here, that, okay, the only way I'm going to make hay right now and like squeeze out the votes to maybe get a little win in Iowa is to emphasize that you're doing bro stuff if you support Bernie.
Yes.
That's not a good look. You are doing a no growth by supporting Bernie.
In the last moments, she is pulling a fucking Hillary.
Yep.
And it was Felix who said this today, and I thought it was very, very true and insightful. He said, look at fucking Bernie. He has had a million different type of people in his campaign, from fucking true believers to time servers and grifters, whatever. And they have all ended up being bound to his will, his idea of what the campaign is, what he wants it to be. Warren, on the other hand, has been absorbing the casts off of all these failed campaigns. And I guarantee goddamn to you that those fucking Hillary dead enders who ended up with the K-Hive are now migrated to Warren and are helping decide to make this late campaign turn towards
here's the thing.
And it's like, what does that tell you about their fucking presidencies? The guy who takes everybody and puts them on his goddamn agenda, or the person who is able to be talked into any bullshit by their fucking scam artist ass fucking staff.
Here's the thing. I think she's making a push for them, but in my limited experience with the very normal human beings known as the K-Hive, they hate her for some inscrutable reason, but like Bernie for some equally inscrutable reason. But I see what you're saying, that she's making that pitch to them.
Yeah, at the staff level. The actual K-Hive, they are maniacs, and I respect them for their insanity.
They are going kamikaze against Tulsi.
Yeah.
They are devoting their efforts to stopping the Tulsi juggernaut.